He reaches to a cloth bag sitting next to him and throws it kind of unceremoniously so it lands in the dust at your feet. He says, you and your guests will have to RSVP.
Okay, I'll take the bag.
And you pick it up, and it feels like there's something rattling around inside of it.
Let's open it.
Inside are five small, slender, wooden boxes. Each one burned into it, not carved, but burned with the same identifying mark.
I'll hand them around.
Crack open one of the boxes once it's handed to me.
And it doesn't have hinges. It doesn't like open up like a small chest. This thing just sits in your hand. You kind of slide the top, which is set into two little grooves. And inside is a metal needle.
Yep, that's why I hate dealing with fiends.
Well, all right.
What metal is the needle made of?
You're a godsman. You would know this.
Yeah, and I do have proficiency with blacksmith's tools.
Make an intelligence blacksmith tools roll.
So what's my proficiency bonus now? Oh, there it goes. That's pretty good, actually. It's 19 before proficiency bonus, which it's 6 at this level now, right?
Okay.
Should be on your character sheet.
It should be on your character sheet.
5, I'm sorry. Like, everything is there, but the proficiency bonus just is weird.
Trivially, this little sliver of metal you identify as iron. But picking it up and turning it over, you realize this is cold iron. Which means that this needle was created without ever seeing heat. Dogs are weak against cold iron.
Got it.
Without ever seeing what?
Heat.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of, in mythology, a lot of fairies and things are weak to cold iron
Yeah,
weapons.
I'd heard of it, and I don't think I ever knew what that meant until just now.
Yeah, that's what it means. It means that the sword or whatever was forged without heat. It was just shaped, which means the weapon is extremely brittle and won't be effective in most cases, but it has magical properties.
Okay.
And this Tiefling driving his cart, just after you all open these little boxes, just starts looking back and forth between you impatiently.
Take out this needle. So what do we do with it?
And he glares at you like you're an idiot.
I'm guessing we're supposed to prick ourselves here. But is there like a mark we're supposed to make with the blood?
He says just hand the boxes back when you're done. Place them in the bag and throw it back up.
Okay. I'll prick myself with the needle.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Pop it in the palm of the hand.
Yeah, Nath will extend a finger.
Okay, and you each let a drop of blood fall into the box. Throw them back into the bag. Pitch it back up to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
He sets it back down, and then you hear the skittering sounds as he whips the beetles back up, rears back around you, and then starts making off for the destination.
All right, let's follow him, I guess. Yeah. I mean, he's on a horse, so it's kind of unfair, but...
Well,
No,
he-
that's clearly not a horse.
He's on a cart with 2 giant beetles, that's right.
You know, I would say it's pretty rude of him to not offer a ride, but considering
We
where we
on
are,
the abyss.
I always heard
I was
Abyssals
getting
were
that.
friendly.
I was getting to that, right?
I've always heard abyssals were friendly.
Okay.
I went to the abyss, and all I got was this t-shirt, and also murdered.
Basically.
The abyss, and all I got was...
We're from Sigil. If we were worried about getting murdered,
Getting close
Yeah.
enough to see features of this fortress, it's enormous, and it's in a state of disrepair, as every structure on the plane of infinite portals. Most of them don't last long. They get destroyed eventually. But it looks like the guard towers of this fortress have been repurposed by somebody. They're in a decent state of repair. There is a large stable off to one side where, as you approach, you see these gigantic beetles are being housed next to the cart, gorging themselves on God knows what. You're not sure you want to know.
Not really.
So most of this ruin is still essentially inaccessible. There's 2 large square guardhouses out in front of it in a part of... in between a section of wall that's been torn down on either side that has been kind of refurbished. You see light pouring through the windows. And there's a wooden sign set in between the 2 of them that just specifies the Bitter Mockingbird.
Can I ask a possibly stupid question?
Sure.
Is what we're looking at basically what we see on this art here?
Not exactly. I mean, this is just a piece of non-specific art that I happen to like.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
essentially, you have a fortress like this in the background that was used at some point as some Abyssal Lord's stronghold, but he got overrun and torn out.
I guess I was mostly wondering if there's still an intact bridge across the ravine at this point.
There's no ravine where you're at. There's no
gotcha.
there's no cracks in the world.
Okay.
Mostly, if you think of like the terrain of where you're at is kind of like the Calm Lands in Final Fantasy, how it's just flat and boring. But every so often you have just this inexplicable crack that you have to walk around for a mile. That's kind of like what walking across the plane of infinite portals is like.
Okay, I get you.
And as you approach, a very tall and muscular and handsome, well-dressed Githzerai steps out of one of the guard towers. And when he sees you all approaching, his face just lights up. He's also wearing incredibly just gaudy outfit. It's clean and it's well maintained and it's obviously been tailored, but it's like if imagine what like a really poor guy thinks a rich guy dresses like.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this man is dressed.
He's dressed like Donald Trump.
This Githzerai
It
has
has
better
been
hair.
0 minutes.
And you've met him before. It is Factal Quran.
Ah. All right. So he's up at the top of the guardhouse, right? He's like not down here with us.
No, he has stepped out of the front entrance of one of these 2 guardhouses.
Okay. I'll walk up to him.
And he greets everybody warmly, especially Riot, and he's putting on a very pompous, fake accent of just this very posh nobleman. My dearest Riot, it's been too long.
And I'll slap him in the face. And say, "You're damn right it's been too long. I can't believe you."
And he slaps you back.
All right. And then I'll hug him.
And then he asks if your friends want any. He asks if you had any trouble finding the place.
No, they came and fetched us. It's pretty much the only place in view.
He says he likes this location because it hasn't been destroyed by the Tanari yet.
Yeah.
He's
Usually-
sure you will all agree.
I agree.
I agree that it hasn't been destroyed by the Tanari yet.
And he starts espousing the incredible culinary pleasures that you are about to embark on. That it takes a very special and refined palate to be able to enjoy the eccentricities of abyssal food.
Mm-hmm. And Riot flashes her teeth at him.
I drank acid booze once.
Yeah, me too.
He says that, he asks if you'll all be dining together. And the way he asks it kind of gives you the impression that the rest of you would be a third wheel.
Yeah, why don't you let us, we're here on business, but there's no reason we can't mix that with a bit of pleasure.
And Mahogany grabs Nath's arm, pulls him close. He says, "It'll be great."
Liberation grabs Nath's other arm.
Riot takes what
Nath,
was his
these
name?
insects buzzing around your head, you suddenly have no way to swat at them because both of your arms are occupied.
Nath you kind of feel his hands just like kind of twitching.
What's
Swatting
his name?
motions, he occasionally kind of pulls away from you.
Kronar?
Quran.
Quran, that's it.
Like the holy text, but not spelled the same way.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he'd answer to whatever you called him.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
a chaos
I'll
man,
take-
it depends.
I'll take Quran's arm and walk inside.
He points to each of the two houses in turn, and he tells you that the first specializes in abyssal cuisine, the kind that might be deadly to mere mortals, and that the other one caters to more standard tastes, like it's the watered down version. Like that's the Taco Bell of abyssal cuisine. And he
I
asks
was gonna
which
say
one
the
is to
Chinese
Riot's
food.
taste.
Oh, I prefer the Abyssal.
Is Nath just peeing himself right now?
No, he's just kind of motioning. He just sort of immediately kind of motions one that isn't. He goes to Taco Bell.
Okay.
He brings the guys with him to Taco Bell.
So Riot and Quran are going to one, and everybody else is going to the other?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Taco Bell.
Both
Y'all
of
can
you-
eat at the little kids' table.
Both of you see a pretty similar state as you enter. It's not like a fancy, posh restaurant. It's not like a fine crystal chandelier, etc. What you see instead is kind of what you'd expect for a way station in the middle of nowhere that weary travelers sometimes use as a crossroads. There are people here, and there are Tanari here. There are demons as well. But this is a place for people just to kind of rest for a day or two in a very long journey. So there's a lot of trade that happens here as well. A lot of what you see here are people peddling goods back and forth. Just the kind of stuff you'd need on the road.
Are there Genari at Taco Bell?
Is there what?
Are there Genari at Taco Bell?
The population difference is pretty severe, yes. In one, at the Taco Bell, you have more just planner travelers, whereas in the genuine place, you have more demons hanging out. That being said, you do see some low-level Tanari in your Taco Bell, because these are the guys where your Abyssal commander be like, yeah, you don't deserve to eat with us. Go over there, we'll kill you. So there are some comforts available at this place if you need a room for the night or if you need supplies for the road.
What's the temperature like? Do they have it controlled at all?
It's still very hot and dry inside. It's definitely not comfortable, but it's better than being outside. As soon as you're inside and you have walls around you, you feel the buzzing die away.
Okay.
And you're welcomed in very cheerlessly, each of you to your respective establishments. Quran is making this big show about having set up reservations for months ahead of time, and it's very clear that it's all BS. There's no way he's done any of this.
I'm genuinely surprised he's here.
How much is everybody willing to spend on this ornate meal that you've been promised?
I'll spend a platinum.
Okay, because he tells you he doesn't have any money.
Yeah. We've gone Dutch, I get it.
What about the rest of you?
Hey man, I don't have anything else to spend my money on.
Okay.
What's the menu here like?
I'll know some gold.
If Mahogany's buying, I'll have a bottle
Oh,
of wine.
that's. Oh, I see how you could make that impression.
Quran explains to Riot, so the rest of you don't hear this, that he sent one of his men out ahead of time to make sure that he collected blood from the party, so as their meals could be attuned to their special characteristics. And as he does this, he holds up his own finger, which has a silver bandage wrapped around it, tied up in the most perfect bow you've ever seen.
Crown's great. Where does he get all this money?
He doesn't have any money. That's why you're paying.
I know. That's why I'm wondering, like, where do you get a silver bandage from? And where do you get all these, like, gifts he gave me?
A lot of what the Tanari eats on the Abyss are other Tanari, essentially. So this place, they're not obviously going to cook and serve Tanari on the Abyss. That wouldn't work. But they have a lot of things that you guys recognize as being kind of two abyssal tastes from living in Sigil so long and eating in themed Sigilian restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So the three of you at the Taco Bell.
Yeah, we're eating.
What's a chalupa?
What's a
If Mahogany's paying, he's ordering for everyone.
Okay.
Oh, you don't
So
have to pay. I was just
they're getting the weird shit.
Okay.
The meal that they bring out is already tailored to you. You don't actually have to order anything off a menu. They already know what you want. Karan took care of that. So whatever each of you desires, you have gotten a very pleasant and well-prepared version of that meal. The only thing they don't do is vegetarian. Everything, in order to enjoy a meal on the Abyss, something has to die.
Does Liberation's red taste the exact same as Serenity's harem?
Don't worry, Mahogany's not that kind of druid.
Is that what Liberation most desires?
Yeah.
Over in the real one.
Let's call it Chipotle.
Now I want Chipotle. All right, we're going to take a break so I can take 40 minutes and drive out to the Chipotle. The meal that is brought out for Riot and Karan, you're pretty sure you'll be okay with it. You're a Tiefling. You have the digestive tract. But whatever Karan is eating, you're pretty sure is acid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it will just burn his face and esophagus if he attempts to eat it. And he gives every indication that he is about to eat it.
I am not here to save Karan's life.
Okay.
I mean, I can heal him if he looks like he's about to croak, but yeah, he's the Chaosman. He's made his bed. He's going to lie in it.
Okay. After the meal, is anybody planning on trying to purchase lodging at this place? Or are you going to still rely on the tiny hut?
It's up to Riot. She's the one.
Well, here's what Riot does. She'll make a tiny hut for the rest of you if you ask her, and then she's going to purchase lodgings for herself and Karan.
I heard tell of a magnificent mansion.
No, I had a plane shift today. We can't do both in the same day. I can make a rope trick, but it only lasts for an hour.
Mahogany's like, we should have walked the Abyss and then got a magnificent mansion when we were there.
You guys can have my hut, but I'm not staying in it.
How good? Well, you literally have to stay in it.
I don't.
Mahogany, go
It's
ahead.
hot. If you leave it, it glows.
Go ahead and mark off 1 platinum for everybody's meal.
Yeah, okay.
Does anybody drink heavily?
Yeah, Riot would.
Okay.
I mean, Mahogany drinks.
Yeah, I mean, I would split a bottle of wine with the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that.
In each of these buildings, you're on the ground floor, and it seems there are floors above you, because this was originally a guard tower. This would be where lodging rooms are set. You're pretty sure the kitchens are up there as well. But you also see a large stairwell leading down into the earth in one area. And this would seem to be a way to connect these two guardhouses together. The person who brings your food to Karan and Riot serves you with uncharacteristic joy, and then watches very intently from across the room as Karan eats.
I'm watching pretty intently myself.
And as he puts the food in his face, it immediately starts to burn, and very visibly, like you can see the boils forming on his tongue and his teeth blackening. And when he swallows it, he immediately begins choking very, very violently.
Okay, 2 things I guess first. I guess I'm going to cast... will Healing Word work on him? Maybe it will. We'll find out. I'll cast Healing Word on him.
What's the healing word of the day?
Heimlich.
Okay. And it starts repairing the damage, and he stops choking. But his eyes are watering real bad. His face has lost all of its color. Whatever this food is very clearly not palatable to him. And he kind of...
Yeah. He kind of what?
He kind of sputters out gratitude for rescuing him, then he immediately begins to take another bite.
Okay. I will knock it out of his hand.
All right.
And then cast Create Food and Water.
Now, this is the version of the spell. So
I feel like if Conjuration summons demons and they mostly eat Tanari, you should conjure up.
And so how much food and water are you conjuring? Are you going the full hog with the full 45 pounds?
If I can scale it back from that, I think I'll just conjure like 3 and 10.
Okay. And what you conjure, where do you make it appear? Like, are you wanting to place it on the table here?
Yeah.
The food and water that you conjure is itself not at all palatable. There's a very rotten stench coming off what you're used to just being this like block of Riot brand FUD. Mm-hmm. Has a very awful rotten stench coming off of it. And the water that you summon also has a very off smell to it. It looks like stagnant swamp water, and you can see things swirling and moving in it. And Karan looks flabbergasted at this, like you've just blown his mind. And then he immediately goes to begin eating that instead.
Okay. I want to see if he's going to die from this too.
He takes a few bites, and he tells you it's the worst food he's ever had. And then he starts to look very, very ill.
Okay. If at any point Karan passes out, I'm gonna like ask the server if we can get lodgings and carry him up to the room.
Okay. Go ahead and pay a gold piece for the lodgings.
Okay.
He doesn't pass out, but he does start to violently vomit all over your table, splattering on your clothes. And when this happens, he starts to attract the ire of the other patrons and the servers. Back in the Taco Bell, you guys are having a more pleasant meal than you would have ever expected on the Abyss.
We're having a really good time.
Yeah.
Are you guys up to anything over there?
Not especially, just Liberation's a little on edge, but other than that, no, not really.
Mahogany's trying to get Liberation drunk.
Liberation is having none of it.
Yeah, Nath kind of stops you there. This isn't exactly the place to be less in control of your facilities than even the plane itself will make you. When we get back, we will go out drinking.
That's good, because Liberation.
I can see what hideous. I'll see what hideous places can do with its bars.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So and then Mahogany says this in person. He says, "So your idea of a safer place to go out and get blasted is Sigil, then?"
You realize you're on probably one of the worst planes in the multiverse.
I don't know. Have you ever been to Pandemonium?
Have you ever been to Mount Celestia?
Celestia would not bother me. Pandemonium
Celestia is a toilet.
has its own quiet sort of maddening loudness, if that makes any sense.
Mount Celestia is a toilet. Let me just point that out there, right there.
I can't remember which bad experiences Liberation had there and which ones Elsa Clone had there.
It's all mixed up in my brain.
Okay.
Servers are going to buy us around if we keep bad-mouthing Mount Celestia.
So, Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Karan's overacted, but also partially genuine illness, and you're not really sure which is which, like what the ratio is, have started to gain the ire of other patrons. And when I say other patrons, again, I mean a lot of Tanari.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sharp-looking weapons in this room, and a lot of very evil eyes cast in your direction. What's your response to that?
I'm going to ask Karan. No, I'll just go ahead and tell him, I'm afraid dinner's over, and I don't think that I can afford dessert, so why don't we skip to the next stage of this?
Yes.
And he tells you he's too weak to walk, and will need to be carried.
I'll sling over my shoulder, fireman carry style.
What happens to this food and water? It just sits there, and
I mean, yeah, like I don't think I can dismiss it. It's just there.
It's not dismiss food and water.
Right. Yeah, I don't have a spell called that. You know how there's a spell called create or destroy water? Well, there's no destroy in the name of this spell.
there's no destroy food.
Right.
And the rest of you, are you taking up lodgings here?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
But we want the Taco Bell themed room.
It's 1 gold piece per room, so you all can cram into one room, or however.
One room is better because that means I only need one private sanctum.
Okay, so Mahogany, go ahead and mark off that gold piece as well.
Yeah, you got it.
The rooms are very simple. There's one straw bed in each one that looks like it hasn't been cleaned or laundered in many years. Each room has a small window, and through which just the terrible sunlight blazes in. And that's about it.
That's true for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. What shape is Karan in by the time I get him up there?
He's in terrible shape. He is absolutely awful. Like, imagine if you actually ate at Chipotle for real. Yeah, he's in pretty terrible shape. What do you do with him?
Is he in any shape to be put the moves on?
That is going to, I mean, the kind of shape he's in, it depends on how comfortable Riot is with date rape.
Not at all. I don't want to get into that.
In fact, he's starting to become, like, delirious.
Yeah. Well, this has been a disaster.
I love that that's what drives you to the opinion.
You should have gone to Taco Bell.
I had a nice meal.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm assuming it was good, right?
Yeah, it was very tasty. It was.
Yeah.
It was particularly catered to what Riot likes to eat.
Yeah.
So
He
what do
doesn't even know
you
what
do with
tastes
Karan
good.
then? No, he's in absolutely no shape to put the moves on.
What do I...
He's babbling and he's sweating profusely.
So about normal then.
Yeah. Like, I can't really... Let me roll an insight check on this babbling and sweating to see if this is just him or if this is the disease.
Make an insight roll at disadvantage.
Yeah. Whoever knows what Karan is thinking.
Not Karan.
Alright, so that turns into a 15.
He's probably not deathly ill, but he is actually sick. He was burned severely by the first meal, and then the rotten food that you conjured didn't do him any favors.
I will tuck Karan into his bedroll and kiss him on the forehead, and then go join the rest of my party in the other room.
And as you go to leave the room, you hear him say, "If I die, I want you to have everything."
You don't have anything.
And then you just leave him there?
Yeah.
So the three of you across the way, Riot comes into the room. It looks like her date went well.
Right, you were quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figured you just spend some more time with them.
Well, I mean, he worked quick, if you know what I mean.
Oh my.
Those chaos men.
Yeah, not the best date I've ever had.
Was it the worst?
No, surprisingly.
We had a magnificent time.
Well, I'm glad. I had some good meal. How about you?
It was pretty good.
It was.
It didn't physically wound me like the last time I ate.
Well,
at a
then
bean
you're
bar.
then you went up on Quran.
It was surprisingly not overly flavored. Do any of you mind if I remove the mattress from this frame? It would be too
God.
soft.
Why?
Well, I mean, I assume if one of you wants to sleep on it, they can put the mattress on the floor, but the frame would suit me better.
Okay, do whatever you want.
Yeah. I was just going to crash against the wall.
Nath.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take any sleep tonight?
Yeah.
But you are wearing a ring of mind shielding.
Yep.
Worst magic item in the game.
This is going to save me so many non-detection casts.
You have a very strange dream.
Mm-hmm.
You dream that you're in a forest back on the prime material worlds where you're from. So a very well-kept Harmonium kind of forest.
Okay.
And you approach a man sitting in a fire. Tall, lanky man with black skin, mutton chops, and a top hat. And he has over his mouth some sort of paper stuck there to his cheeks, down over his chin, and then up to the base of his nose, stuck tight so you can kind of faintly see the outline of his lips beneath it. And as you approach this man, as he's roasting some sort of meat over a spit over the fire, he holds up his hand and just points to the finger where you're wearing the ring.
Is it visible in the dream?
Do you want it to be?
No, I wouldn't normally have it visible.
So when you look at your hands in the dream, then no, it's not visible.
I'll take an action to make the ring visible and kind of give him a, like, this look.
And the man nods once.
Can you speak?
And he gives no response to that.
Who are you?
And he gives no response to that either. He continues just to point to the finger on his hand where you're wearing your ring.
When I attuned to it, did I learn anything about it? Aside from the fact that it can turn invisible?
I mean, anything you would know about just looking up the Ring of Mind Shielding in the DMG. Do you want to go over that real quick?
I read it already.
Yeah.
Can I attempt to see if there's any telepathic communication I can make with a previous inhabitant of the ring? And cast my mind into it?
I have no idea how to parse that question.
I try thinking out loud.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Is
If
there
you
anyone
die...
in here?
Oh, no, there's nobody living in the ring. Because Riot was the previous owner and she didn't die wearing it.
Right.
So no, when you attune to it, you know there's nobody living in the ring.
Okay. I don't know what to do with this. And I'm saying this out loud. I do not know what to do with this dream then. I hope someone has not wasted one of their higher valencies to conjure it, because this is a poor form of communication.
And then at that, the figure just shrugs and goes back to cooking his food.
I'll sit down and help him cook.
And as you sit down, the dream fades away. And then you find yourself in, I don't know what Nath usually dreams about. Chocolate showers and dancing girls? I have no idea.
Forming Limbo into a perfect mindscape, or perfect, mentally projected image of what he thinks a proper form of Limbo is.
So a new day dawns. I mean, the day never went away because it's an infinite, eternal sun.
A more day dawns.
Some more day dawns, yes.
It's dayer.
What is the plan for setting out? Nath, do you share the dream with anybody, or are you keeping that to yourself?
I'll mention it to Riot. Riot, did you ever get any strange dreams when you were wearing this ring?
No, it's kind of the point of the ring.
I had an odd one last night. It might just be my imagination, because from my understanding, the dream spell wouldn't work unless I willed it.
Well, what was the dream like? What happened?
There was a man cooking at a fire. He motions to the finger I was wearing the ring on, and I made it visible, and he had paper over his face, so I couldn't communicate with him, or at least he chose not to.
Describe the man.
Dark skin, mutton chops. Was it top hat, I believe?
It's the man he's describing is Aunt Nancy, very clearly.
We need to.
It's very obviously Aunt Nancy.
Yeah, please take the ring off.
Yeah.
All right.
And nothing immediately happens when you remove the ring.
He could just show up anytime he wanted.
Yeah, and I'll tell him about the brine that it took to get the ring immediately in attune. Just leave it off for a while, and see what happens.
All right.
No more and I have to warn him, no more of this private sanctum thing for a while either.
Yeah.
Just when we rest, or
no, we got to talk to that guy. After we've talked to that guy, then you can start it up again. Put the ring back on.
All right, but we should probably run double watches.
Wait, you won't? And Riot looks at Mahogany. Is he asking me to take a watch?
I was waiting how long this would take.
And Mahogany shrugs. He says, "I don't see why you would think that would be useful."
To me. Well, if we don't have proper magical protections, I mean, okay. How about this? I'll just spend an hour before we rest covering the perimeter with alarms of different magnitudes and orders.
I would also be fine with not that, but okay.
You can never be too careful.
Stepping outside the building, you see Karan wearing the same clothes from last night, just now with dried vomit on them. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting in the seat next to the dark-skinned Tiefling you met yesterday. And he's got his carriage of beetles, except now he's got 4 lashed up. And Karan calls down and says, "I've commissioned a ride back to the portal to see everybody safely back to Sigil." And he says this in a much different accent than what he was using yesterday.
No, I meant what I said. Business and pleasure here. I've had my pleasure, and now it's time for us to conduct our business.
And he says, "Don't be foolish. Nobody has business on the Abyss."
Well, we're not nobody.
He's got you there. We are somebody.
And he says, "Nobody is somebody."
Yeah, and that's us. So we have business.
Which way do I know that the portal is in at this point?
If you were to continue off in the same direction that you were, that you traveled to get here, but from this spot, it's about 6 or 7 days. Probably a little longer than that because you guys are moving at a much slower pace.
Yeah, and I just want to motion to this part. All right, this way.
It's nice seeing you again, Mr. Karan.
Karan,
Give our best to Duke Darkwood.
Karan very bodily pushes the other man out of the carriage, and he lands on the ground in the dust. And he says, "You go back to Sigil. Be factual for a minute." And then he pulls the carriage around and starts driving it very inexpertly next to you guys. And he says, "I've never met anybody who's somebody before."
All right. How much space is there in the carriage?
This carriage is meant for driving like crates of goods back and forth. So you guys could probably all climb into it.
If you're offering a ride, then hey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mahogany jumps up, and once he does so, he takes the reins of the carriage from Koran.
Yeah. Please do that, because I don't have good
Mahogany,
animal.
make a charisma animal handling roll.
Come on, charisma animal handling? Are you kidding? What am I going to talk to the horse?
I'd be so good at this.
Well, you're the druid.
Yeah.
This
Go for it.
This is literally your wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's why I have wisdom animal handling.
That's good.
20.
Okay. You begin driving these beetles, and does Mahogany have any experience or expertise in driving creatures like this?
I mean, probably.
Like horses or donkeys or something, but probably not giant insects? Okay.
Yeah.
You get up there thinking this can't be that different. You know, I've been in this position before. But what seems to be more different is that these are creatures of the abyss. They're very willful. And as you begin driving them, you feel yourself exert your personality over theirs. You are stronger than they are. And they begin moving to your whims. And you don't even really have to drive them using the reins so much.
Nice.
Call me Mahogany Beetle Lord.
And Karan very painfully elbows you in the ribcage and says, by the way, those are good eating too.
We'll find that out in a few days when we don't need them anymore.
And then he jumps back into the cart. And he says, all right. You've talked me into it. I'll accompany you, but we have to be very clear up front that we're all going to die horribly, violently, and bloodily. So, starting with you, and he points to Nath, says the button-down one with the fancy haircut. How do you not most want to die? Because that's what's going to happen. It's very important that we talk about this now, so that we are psychologically prepared for it when the time comes. He says, for me it's drowning. I'm deathly afraid of water. How does Nath
You heard him,
respond?
Nath.
Yeah, Nath.
Is Dustin muted?
Yeah, sorry. May I pick two?
And he thinks about it, and you can tell he's thinking about it very seriously. And then he says, I'm sorry I wasn't listening. And he turns to Liberation and says, what about you?
Being flayed to death. Yeah.
That's it? That's the worst thing you can think of.
Well, I've already been through some pretty bad shit already, so...
Are you really using all that skin?
Well, have you ever had your arms turned around backwards?
Yes, I have.
Awesome, isn't it? No, it isn't. It's terrible.
Then he casts his glance back at Mahogany. What about you?
And Mahogany responds boringly.
So you believe a man can die of boredom?
I've come pretty close.
I've seen it happen. It's the worst fate imaginable.
I thought drowning was the worst fate imaginable.
He asks if you could think of a more boring way to die.
Mahogany thinks about it. And he says, it would take me a really long time.
And Karan continues this extremely morbid conversation as you guys are driving across the abyss. What is... we might not have to get into this, but what is the general idea of when you see things, like creatures or groups, at the distant on the plane? Is your goal to move as swiftly as possible towards your destination, even if it means encountering these groups, or do you try to keep a distance from everything you see?
I feel like there's not too much on this plane that's just like wandering random bands of things, because there's no warlord here. There's no armies to contend with. I'm not terribly afraid of the small band of demons, but at the same time,
No sense go looking for trouble, right?
Right, exactly. So I don't really know what my answer would be.
What about Mahogany? He's the one who's driving the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And Mahogany tries to get with an eye shot of everything because he's curious.
Try to get with an eye shot of everything? Okay. I need everybody to go ahead and make that buzzing saving throw again. So Riot and Mahogany can make it at advantage. Your DC is 10. Nath, your DC is 12 now.
What about mine?
Your DC is still 10 because you passed the previous one.
Passed.
Okay.
Passed. Barely, but passed.
I pass. I crit pass.
Okay.
I got a 20.
Nath?
Sorry,
Mike-
1 second.
Okay.
You did have that coffee, right?
I think someone came home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the dog came home. You can hear it barking sometimes.
Sorry, what was I doing?
You need to make a buzzing saving throw?
That's a will save? Wisdom?
Yeah, wisdom save. DC is 12.
I think that still fails. Yes, it does. Failed.
Stop failing.
Roll a D10. And don't roll high.
Kelian.
5.
A
I
5.
rolled neither high nor low.
You gain this following flaw. I enjoy killing for its own sake. And once I start, it's hard to stop.
God damn it.
With this caveat. Your bloodlust can only be sated by killing insects. Because they have been just devouring you the entire time you've been on this plane.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
That's exactly what surrounded your rolls.
This is very familiar.
Mahogany.
Yeah.
Most of what you approach, because you said you want to try to get an eye shot of everything.
Yeah.
Most of what you see is just general abyssal wildlife. Horrible, monstrous creatures. If you get close enough to see something as an obvious, like, Tanari warband or something, do you still want to get close to them?
No.
Okay. So once you get close enough when you realize, oh, those are demons, very clearly.
Interesting abyssal wildlife is good, though, because some of those might have the beast tag.
These giant beetle things, obviously, they're beasts. I have to actually look up their stats. I have them in one of the books. I forget. So they have a special property where they can, like, eat livestock, and then they take on the properties of the livestock, but then, like, this shepherd's sheep will just start shedding, and there's a giant beetle underneath. And it's horrifying. Approaching the ravine, you start to have to course correct more and more, because you see more and more of these Tanari groups. Until you come across a group that's been slaughtered. Their corpses just littered across the landscape. And picking through the fallen Tanari is some kind of humanoid creature. And as he sees you guys approaching, which he didn't realize until you got pretty close, it looks like he's about to break and run.
Calm down, friend. Just pass him through.
So you yell out to him, tell him to calm down, he's passing through?
We're just passing through. We're not gonna steal your we're not gonna steal your carrion.
And he yells back that he killed them all himself, and you'd be better to keep your distance, and points the direction you came.
Sorry, but our road leads that way, friend.
Pointing over across the ravine.
Whichever direction that we're heading.
You have to find a way over this ravine, according to Riot's map.
Yeah.
Does Riot know which direction the way over the ravine is?
No, Riot only knows, like... I know which direction our destination is. But, like, I don't have a map of... I don't have an internal map of the Abyss. I just know we need to go that way.
And the way it's kind of worked up until now is that every time you've moved in one direction or another, in order to avoid this or that band of Tanari or the Vrox in the sky or whatever the case may be, it's kind of like Riot's brain has become reoriented, like her GPS had to update. Like, do we have to go north or south to get around this particular hole? And she knows once you get up on it, we'll go up around to the north, and that's faster. That's kind of how you're navigating.
All right.
So you tell him our road goes that way, and point over the ravine?
Yep.
He calls back, how much money do you have?
I see no reason to tell you, unless you're offering something.
You see him reach his hand behind his back.
Hands where we can see him, friend.
He calls back, why?
Riot is going to, at this point, try and step in and, like, de-escalate the situation.
Okay, how so?
Let's try intimidation.
How are you going to intimidate this man?
By telling him, I don't know who those people were, but I guarantee you they weren't as hard as us. You'll be wanting none of us, I assure you.
Make a strength intimidate check.
Okay, let's see. Still get proficiency on this. Right, let's see here. Alright, this comes up to a 14.
A 14?
Mm-hmm.
You see he's mostly eyeing the 4 beetles that Mahogany is driving along. And he pulls an item from behind his back, and what he has is a brass horn. And he calls back, if you come any closer, I'll bring them down on all of us. And then he kind of holds it up to his face menacingly. And with that, we're going to take our break. Because this might just go bad real quickly, it being about 5 o'clock. So why don't we reconvene at 5:15?